Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Desert Cardinal here. Hope you all are having a good day today. Yesterday we talked about toxic shame versus healthy shame, kind of an introductory kind of thing. I mentioned to you that I'm using some notes on this one, primarily because I'm learning too. And I think the stuff contained in here is really, really good for us. And I want to, before I start, I just want to be sure that that we all understand that despite the things that we've done, despite the mistakes that we've made, I'm saying too much. We're all human beings. And yeah, there may be like brokenness in us from our childhood or mistakes that we've made and so forth and so on, but we're not rejects. We're not misfits. We are human beings, that are full of love. And it's just getting down in there and finding that out for ourselves is, I think, a big part of the journey that one must take, especially if you're dealing with a mental illness. Let me read a brief little thing here, and then we'll talk. One of our basic needs is structure. We ensure our structure by developing a boundary system within which we operate. Structure gives our lives form. Boundaries and form offer us safety and allow a more efficient use of energy. There's an old joke about the man who got on his horse and rode off in all directions. Without boundaries, we have no limits and easily get confused. We go this way and that way, wasting a lot of energy. We lose our way. We become addicted because we don't know when to stop. We don't know how to say no. Healthy shame keeps us grounded. It's a red light warning. It's a red light warning us that we are essentially limited. Remember yesterday we said that healthy shame helps us know what our limitations are. Healthy shame is the basic metaphysical boundary for human beings. It is the emotional energy which signals us that we are not God, that we have made and will make mistakes, that we need help. Healthy shame gives us permission to be human. Healthy shame is part of every human's personal power. It allows us to know our limits and thus to use our energy more effectively. We have better direction when we know our limits. We do not waste ourselves on goals we cannot reach or on things we cannot change. Healthy shame allows our energy to be integrated rather than diffused. I hope you understand that last sentence about healthy shame. I'll read it again. Healthy shame allows our energy to be integrated rather than diffused. In other words, like they said in the article there, the joke about the guy that went all over the place, riding his horse, and when we don't have healthy boundaries set up, when we don't live within those boundaries, when we're in codependent relationships, when we're in unhealthy relationships, have you ever noticed how, like, if you've been in a turbulent relationship with somebody, you just feel like your energy is just drained completely, and that's why, because we were never taught as children how to set up healthy boundaries, and like the article was saying, healthy shame, we have those boundaries in place, and the energy we have in our life becomes focused, on what it is that we're doing, instead of it being just everywhere. And then before you know it, all of our energy is depleted, and we're like, oh, what do we do? And it's a very hard realization to make, because when you make that, at least when I made that realization, I realized that there were relationships in my life that were going to have to change. And the bottom line is, I can't change necessarily the relationship. I can't change the person. I can't change the circumstances. But the only person I can change is me. And with a mental illness, that's very difficult to do. And it's like the serenity prayer, if you're familiar with it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Well, you can look at it like this. You can say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, you. The courage to change the things I can, me. And the wisdom to know the difference, God. And that's, it sounds simplistic or whatever, but that's the truth. I can't change you. As much as I would love to, wave a magic wand and make you all better and change you and whatever, I would love to do that. But I can only change myself and my responses to circumstances. And even then, it is limited by the fact that you have a mental illness, or I have a mental illness. Oops. My battery's dead. Well, I'll just have to change that. So, healthy shame is about setting boundaries and really becoming aware. Becoming aware of our limitations. That we are limited, and healthy shame is kind of like, it's kind of like humility. It's like the ability to ask for help. Much better. It's like the article said, the red light that lets us know, okay, hold on, the boundary that you've set up here is being crossed. Do you want to continue? It's like when you're on the computer and you do something and it says, are you sure you want to cancel this menu or whatever it is? And it asks you, and that's kind of like, that's what our healthy shame is. A window pops up and says, okay, are you sure you want to do this? And if we listen and we become aware, then chances are we won't make the same mistakes that we've always made. Because see, that's the deal with shame, is that we get sucked into a cycle. For me, I was sexually abused, and as I grew older, I didn't deal with it. The only way I could deal with it was with drugs or alcohol. So I would feel shame and guilt that was just out of the world. I couldn't deal with those feelings, so I self-medicated with marijuana or alcohol or both. And then I felt guilty for using the marijuana and using the alcohol. And so I used more marijuana and more alcohol to cover up the guilt and the shame that I felt from using the marijuana and the alcohol. Then I would be triggered back to the sexual abuse, feel the guilt and the shame, and then be back to alcohol and marijuana. And you know, before you know it, I was in this cycle. And it was exacerbated by the fact that I was bipolar. And it wasn't so much that, you know, I was an addict or an alcoholic, as it was that I was and I am a person that is mentally ill that got caught in a cycle of shame. And I can socially drink, and it's not an issue. And I have some real good friends that are in AA that, you know, they just don't understand that. And that's okay. You know, I can only be who I am. And but I got a lot out of AA when I did go. But I never got better with the steps. And the reason why I didn't get better was I wasn't on medication. And so I got on medication, and then I go to an NA meeting, and everybody at the NA meeting freaks out, you know, because I'm on medication. And so I'm like, you know what? I don't need this in my life, you know? And I know, you know, and I'm not dissing 12-step programs, believe me. I mean, I love Bill Wilson. I studied Bill Wilson in the Oxford groups, and I had a really good AA sponsor. We were still friends, although we don't talk often. No, I was bipolar, and I needed to be on medication. And once I got on the medication, then, you know, things changed. You know, I wasn't popping off on people. I wasn't, you know, doing this or doing that. You know, I discovered that I was a human being, and I had limitations. And if I wanted to live, I needed to figure out what boundaries I need to draw so I can have that energy that I need when I didn't have that energy, because I was boundaryless, because my boundaries were violated when I was a child. My boundaries, I had no boundaries, because the sacred boundary, you know, for a healthy sexual life was violated at such an early age. I didn't have a boundary. And I was afraid to admit that. I was afraid to talk to somebody. So my life just kind of, you know, torpedoed out of control until, you know, I was married and faced with the fact that I've got some sexual hang-ups going on here, and I better deal with them. And so healthy shame is knowing your limitations and being able to ask for help. And know that, you know, I'm not God, and I never will be, and I won't have that control, you know. And just the awareness, you know. The takeaway from the video today would be, you know, start becoming aware of where you may lack boundaries or where you have boundaries. And look at the difference in your life and see, you know, in this area I have boundaries established, and you know what? It's pretty good. In this area, there's not much boundary. There's not much boundaries there. So I need to look at this area. So anyway, that's the takeaway from today on the healthy shame versus toxic shame. And we will continue this discussion. My contact information is desertrainbow66@gmail.com. I am in the process of getting a blog together, and I can put this information, everything I read to you and stuff, I can put that in the blog so you can see. And I'm just having a hard time with WordPress understanding. If anybody's got some tips or ideas on WordPress, I would be grateful for your help. So anyhow, that's it, and I hope you have a good day, and God bless you.